we need to be lily white in all these matters because that's how countries die.
Amen. Amen, brother. All right, we're going to take a short time out. Fred, thank you.
You're welcome.
We're going to take a brief break here for news, and then we will be back with more with Steve Paisley Jordahl coming up after this time out. Stay with us.
The views and opinions expressed in this broadcast may not necessarily reflect those of the American Family Association or American Family Radio.
90.5 KTXG Greenville, Dallas.
Starting a family, their eternal values and ideals. These are core values that shaped this country for so long. These are values and ideals that are rooted in Scripture. They're eternal values and ideals.
At the Core with Walter Wildman and Rick Green, where culture meets biblical truth. Weekdays at 1 Central on AFR. This is American Family Radio, a listener-supported ministry of the American Family Association.
American Family News, I'm Rusty Pugh. The State Department is still advising Americans around the world to remain cautious as protests against the U.S. and Israeli strikes on Iran break out at embassies worldwide. Jillian Turner at the State Department with more.
Most U.S. embassies in the Mideast remain under shelter-in-place or evacuation orders. In Baghdad, hundreds of Iraqis attempted to storm the fortified Green Zone, home to the U.S. Embassy over the weekend. Early this morning, smoke seen rising above the U.S. Embassy in Kuwait as well, the latest U.S. diplomatic outpost to face fallout from the U.S. and Israeli strikes inside Iran. In Athens, Greece, more than 1,000 people gathered to the streets outside the U.S. Embassy there. Demonstrators held signs reading, "Hands off Iran."
The Pentagon addressing the ongoing military offensive by the U.S. and Israel against Iran, which ultimately resulted in the killing of the Iranian Supreme Leader, Ayatollah Khamenei. War Secretary Pete Hegseth says the operation was a clear and decisive mission to destroy the potential threat of Iranian missiles and nuclear weapons.
If you kill Americans, if you threaten Americans anywhere on earth, we will hunt you down without apology and without hesitation, and we will kill you. We didn't start this war, but under President Trump, we are finishing it.
Texas Senator Ted Cruz says he fully supports the operation, adding he believes this was the most consequential decision made by President Trump since returning to office.
The reason he made the decision to go in and take out the Ayatollah, take out the military leadership that was carrying out hostility to the United States is because they posed a significant danger to the United States.
Law enforcement are investigating if a shooter who killed 2 people and wounded 14 others in Austin, Texas early Sunday was a terrorist inspired by the ongoing war in Iran. Madeline Rivera has more.
Austin police now identifying the suspect as Jaga Janya. They say Janya drove to a bar on West 6th Street, which is a bustling stretch full of restaurants, bars, and music venues. Janya began shooting out of his car windows, hitting several people. Then he allegedly drove down the street, parked his car, got out with a rifle, and shot more people. Police ultimately shot and killed him. And multiple federal sources tell Fox Janya was wearing an undershirt with an Iranian flag on it. They say Janya was a 53-year-old naturalized citizen who was born in Senegal. Several sources also tell our Brooke Taylor Janya came to the U.S. in March 2000.
The new poll finds Americans sympathize more with so-called Palestinians than Israelis. Chris Woodward has more.
The poll is from Gallup, which for many years found a majority of Americans lean more towards Israelis than Palestinians. For example, it was just a few years ago that 54% of Americans sympathized more with the Israelis compared to 31% for the Palestinians. Today, 41% say their sympathies lie more with the Palestinians, and only 36% said the same about the Israelis. Dr. Zachary Marshall of Campus Reform thinks the shift away from Israel in American public opinion is being driven by younger generations.
This is coming from both the left and the right. We are seeing a resurgence of anti-Semitism from both the far left and the far right. And it is part of a long history of anti-Semitism being fashionable and seen as something to take part in that is consistent with historical patterns in the United States and in the West.
Marshall also thinks there is a single-minded focus on the Palestinian issue among Americans, one that he finds disingenuous.
You never hear them say anything about the plight of the Christians being slaughtered in Nigeria, and you never hear them say anything about the Iranian suffering under the Islamic Republic. So I think this is just an explosion of disingenuous hatred of Israel and the Jews, because that has always operated as currency and is currently operating as currency in social media spaces.
I'm Chris Woodward.
Crude oil prices jumped 6% today, which will mean higher prices soon at the gas pump. More news online at afn.net and on the AFN mobile app. I'm Rusty Pugh.
Hey, have you considered becoming a Great Commission partner? If you do, you'll be joining others who believe like you and are determined to defend against those who want to destroy God's institution of the family. You'll also receive some great benefits, like full access to AFA Stream, a monthly subscription to our magazine, access to exclusive donor events, and more as our thanks for your support. Please stop by afr.net/donate today for all the details. afr.net/donate. Today's Issues continues on AFR with your host, Tim Wildman, president of the American Family Association.
Welcome back, everybody, to today's Issues on the American Family Radio Network. We got 24 and a half more minutes left of this show here, this program on Monday, March the 2nd, 2026. Tim, Ed, and now Steve Paisley Jordahl joins us. Good morning, Steve.
Good morning, everybody.
So, Steve, you've been monitoring.
Stuff happening.
Yeah, I know, right? You've been monitoring the comments of President Trump. Is he giving some sort of update today, or what?
Yeah, so he is in the middle of a Medal of Honor ceremony, and as the president, all presidents are wont to do when they have a ceremony like this and this breaking news, he starts with, I want to update everybody. And this is the first minute or so of what he had to say. It's a little bit of a justification of why we went there. It's not groundbreaking, but it is a little bit. I wasn't able to listen to the whole thing, so we could bring more of that in tomorrow if it's relevant. Cut 19.
And not to make any attempt to rebuild at a different location because they weren't able to use the ones that we so powerfully blew up. But they ignored those warnings and refused to cease their pursuit of nuclear weapons. In addition, the regime's conventional ballistic missile program was growing rapidly and dramatically, and this posed a very clear, colossal threat to America and our forces stationed overseas. The regime already had missiles capable of hitting Europe and our bases, both local and overseas, and would soon have had missiles capable of reaching our beautiful America. The purpose of this fast-growing missile program was to shield their nuclear weapon development and make it extraordinarily difficult for anyone to stop them from making these highly forbidden by us nuclear weapons.
By the way, President Trump has an excellent speech writer.
Yes, he
or
does.
writers. I don't know their names, but all presidents have speech writers. And in this case, listen, when President Trump speaks extemporaneously, is that the right word? Mm-hmm. He's oftentimes, he's very personable, very offensive.
At times, yes.
At times,
yeah.
At times, that's just how he talks. He just talks out loud, and a lot of times as you said, that's the New Yorker in him.
I think so.
Right,
No gate.
Yeah, it doesn't work sometimes. Sometimes he makes me mad of the things he says. But I would just say this: in this case, he would be wise to stick with the script as much as possible in the next few days, in particular. He's apt to just go off. You guys understand what I'm saying here? right now in this moment, this time, I think he would do, and I think he did. But those comments right there, he was reading. So I'm just saying, be careful with your words at this moment. This is not a. This is a the world's watching type situation.
And paying attention to every word.
Yes. Does that make sense? You
Yeah.
understand what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
So, yes, Trump's, he has his personality, and either you like him or you don't. Most people do. But I find it refreshing that he is open with his comments to the media. He'll take questions.
Right.
He'll do interviews. I mean, he's like all comers. I'm ready to talk. I'll tell you what. I'll answer the questions, as opposed to previous administrations where everything. Oh, Biden bless his heart. He couldn't talk to anybody about anything except bring me the ice cream. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And I don't know, before that, Barack Obama did some with the media, Democrat I'm talking about. But for a lot of presidents, they hide and they don't answer questions.
Everything's very measured.
Everything. With Trump, not so much.
Right. And this is
Absolutely.
true about his first administration after
Yeah.
being elected and starting in 2016. Remember, he coming off the helicopter, he would just stop at the rope line and just talk for an hour.
You know what I attribute that
media.
to? President Trump, when he was running for office, was all too familiar with the media. He was the media.
Yeah.
I mean, he was a
Celebrity.
Celebrity. He'd been doing this for years. This was nothing uncomfortable with him.
Right.
So, and people liked his frank talk. That's what was a lot of his attraction from his support base at the time, was because of his, unfiltered, say it like it is.
Right.
Personality. All right, you're listening to today's Issues on American Family Radio. Steve, what do you got?
I wanted to continue and update a couple things that you guys talked about last hour. I know that you guys talked, Fred brought in the topic of Iranians around the world and in the United States celebrating because of this. I wanted to bring in one particularly relevant example. Because we talked last week as Ramadan was starting about Muslims filling Times Square and deciding to do their prayer in public.
No permit, blocking traffic.
Just blocking traffic, laying down rugs, hundreds and hundreds of them. Well, yesterday, or maybe even today, I'm not sure exactly when this video was shot, thousands of Persians showed up in Times Square, and they sang together what is what's being called the true Iranian national anthem. I'm assuming it was before the Islamic, whatever they used during the 60s and 70s and everything. And the video, which we don't have, I can get to Brent, but the people are weeping with joy. Just listen to a little bit of Cut 17. There were Iranian flags and American flags and Jewish flags. Whoever thought you'd see those three together. So what you guys were talking about early, or last hour, is absolutely true. Persians around the world, and Persians are the people who live in Iran, the ethnic people who live in Iran. They are ecstatic today because of the fall of Iran. You guys also talked about Mayor Zoran Mamdani's statement, where he talked about to New Yorkers, "Oh, you'll be safe here" and everything. There is a Voice of America Persian News Network anchor. Her name is Masha Alinejad. And I want to read what her reply to Zoran Mamdani is. Listen to this. To you, Zoran Mamdani, you stayed quiet when we faced massacre, when Islamic Republic assassins were sent here in New York to kill us. Stay quiet now. Stop lecturing us Iranians about peace. I don't feel safe in New York listening to someone like you, Mamdani, who sympathizes with a regime that killed more than 30,000 unarmed Iranians in less than 24 hours. You talk about safety of this beautiful city? Listen carefully. Safety without justice means nothing. We Iranians do not allow you to lecture us about a war while you had nothing to say when the Islamic Republic shot schoolgirls and blinded more than 10,000 innocent people in the streets. You were busy celebrating hijab while women of my beloved Iran were jailed and raped by Islamic security forces for removing them. and now you find your voice to defend the regime? No. I will not let you claim the moral high ground. The people of Iran want to be free. Where were you when they needed solidarity? New York belongs to the people who stand against terrorism, not those who excuse it. This city is stronger than fear, stronger than propaganda, stronger than you think.
Well, you know, there are people in this world who may live in the United States. They might have been able to get here legally, and there are a lot of Iranians who have done that over the years since the Islamic.
You say legally or illegally?
Legally.
Oh, yeah.
Since the regime was overthrown in 1979. But I think about people like North Koreans or Koreans, Cubans, who, when they finally see those oppressive regimes end, will react the same way as these Iranians. They love their home country. They probably have family members there. By the way, I did not know that when she says that 30,000 were murdered in 24 hours.
I never heard that before.
That part I had not heard. I didn't realize it was so quick.
Yeah, well, it was within 24 hours of 48 hours, the protesters figured out that it was a death sentence to be in the streets. So they kind of retreated. It didn't take long for them to retreat to their houses. Their passion didn't fade, but their presence did.
Well,
Hey,
by necessity.
we haven't talked about this story, but what happened in Austin, Texas?
I'm ready.
Go.
So, Austin, Texas, there was a mass shooting early Sunday morning. A gentleman named Diego Diogni showed up at a bar and opened fire. He rolled down his windows, actually, outside a bar, and he started shooting. By the end of the rampage, 2 people were dead, 14 others injured. The suspect was also killed by police. He was wearing a t-shirt that said "Property of Allah" and was carrying a shotgun. He is born in Senegal, emigrated here, and then got U.S. citizenship several years ago. So he was an American citizen, but there is...
Because he married an American.
Yes. There is a lot of people thinking that this had something to do, maybe revenge for what's going on in Iran. They're related ideologically. I don't know. I can't confirm that, but they are treating it as an act of terror.
Honestly, I was a little surprised that there weren't more of these across the country, and there's still time for that to happen, simply because of my guess is that there are terror cells in this country with Iranians who are waiting to get the thumbs up, and maybe that's not coming because Khomeini's dead and others, but this is a very serious thing. We had 4 years of that southern border being wide open, people coming across the northern border as well under the Biden administration. We just don't have a clear idea of exactly who's here and why they're here, and that is a little unnerving.
To your point, if I may, to your point, this is retired FBI agent Charles Marino, cut 16.
There's no doubt that law enforcement and intelligence agencies are operating at an elevated threat level here in the United States, and that's based on the correct operating assumption that the United States has been allowed to be infiltrated with a myriad of threats from around the globe, thanks in large part to the policies of the Biden administration, which turned our borders into a sieve. Now, with respect to the potential of this being linked to terrorism, that has grown exponentially because of the illegal population, the undercutting and exploitation of programs like asylum and temporary protective status, and yes, even the legal immigration process.
Okay, this guy who, how many died?
There are 4 dead and 14 injured at the latest.
So he walks up and he's wearing or he died with this on. The cop shot him, right?
Yes.
Or somebody did.
Yes. Police believe.
He has a shirt on and a Quran in the automobile that he was driving, according to the FBI I saw yesterday. What did the t-shirt say he was wearing?
It was a sweatshirt and it said "Property of Allah."
Okay. So this was would you call him a Muslim extremist, Ed?
Well, I don't think we know everything about this guy. His name
By the T-shirt.
well,
Oh, the sweatshirt. So
he's certainly allowed in this country to wear a shirt or a sweatshirt that promotes his faith. The question that I'll have to wait, because the FBI is calling it an act of potential terrorism, to see if that faith led him to do the shooting.
I will add to that this is an American citizen, and so I think the journalist may be operating at a little bit of a different innocent until proven guilty in a court of law rubric.
Okay, fellas, that's what y'all want to believe.
Yeah. No, I didn't say that's what I believe.
We'll go with that one.
That's what I'm saying publicly.
I'm with Ed.
On the radio, where people might be listening. Go ahead.
When you wear a sweatshirt that says what?
Property of Allah.
Property of Allah. So I don't think he just pulled that out of his drawer.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Randomly.
Right.
And then you go with, what kind of weapons he carrying?
It's I believe it's a shotgun.
And then you start killing people knowing that you're going to die by it's suicide by cop is what it is right there. Sounds like to me. This guy was going to kill the infidels so that he could go to paradise, because he was what did he call himself on the T-shirt, on the sweatshirt?
Property of Allah.
Okay, so he's property of Allah. So this is what I would say about that. For those who say, well, gee, we just don't know what the motivation was. I don't know. Maybe he would give us a sign. There's nothing funny about the killings. I'm not talking about that. But
right.
That's the approach that even the FBI, in the press conference yesterday, I saw, we don't know the motivation yet. Now, they did say, the spokesperson I saw say, it does appear that he was motivated by, his beliefs.
And he was found to have an Iranian flag and photos of Iranian leaders in his home. Okay.
So what?
Listen.
So what could his motive be? I wonder. Okay.
I didn't say anything inaccurate, did I?
No, you didn't. So I would say this. Joe Biden and the lefties have been warning us that the rise of white supremacy in this country is the greatest threat. Remember Joe Biden saying that time and time again? Hello, fellas. We're doing a show here.
I'm listening to you.
I did.
Y'all listened to me. You didn't respond. I asked a question.
I didn't want to interrupt. I've been accused of doing that.
So, remember that? So we're still waiting on this massive, acts of terror by the white supremacists out there. They're missing they haven't showed up yet. I don't know what the problem is. But I think the problem is that white supremacy is not a big deal in America anymore. Yeah, you might find one here, one there. They're not accepted. They don't, it's the reason that the left pushes the white supremacy is the greatest threat to our country is they don't want to have you talk about those people who are killing in the name of Islam, or the Antifa types, or the people who kill motivated by their left-wing ideology. Okay, so that's the way they tried to whip up support for their cause by saying to minorities, hey, you better watch out for those white supremacists. They're gonna put y'all back in chains. Remember what Biden was telling them?
Yeah.
Telling black folks, white folks are gonna put y'all back in chains if you don't vote for me. Remember that?
Right. And if you don't vote for me, you're not black enough.
You're not black. Remember all that stuff?
Oh, yeah.
They do that every election cycle to try to say, ironically, President Trump got highest percentage of African Americans and Hispanic voters of any Republican presidential candidate. I don't know what that means, trending. Is that going to continue forward? I'm just saying that had this been a guy wearing a sweatshirt that said KKK or prophet of Adolf Hitler or something, that people wouldn't be saying, we're going to wait and see what the motive is. And
right.
they would say, here we go. Here's the white supremacy. They're at it. I told you they would arrive sometime. Here they are. So anyway, we'll see what happens with this. But I think